I'd like you to imagine your dream life. See the version of you who has what you want to have, feels how you want to feel, and is who you want to be. I'm Brittany Hoopes, your hypnotherapist and manifestation coach, and this is the show where I'll teach you to master the full power of your mind, to guide you on your journey towards destination manifestation.
Take a step back for the ones who can't do that.
Welcome back to Destination Manifestation. I'm your host, Brittany Hoopes. How are you doing, you guys? This is our final episode before Halloween. Happy Halloween to you. Are you a big Halloween person? I don't know. I don't go that far out, I will say. I love handing out candy to the kids in our neighborhood. They're so cute. 2 years ago, we had 35 trick-or-treaters. I keep a note in my phone so I remember. Last year, we had 36. So I'm hoping for a clean 37 this year. That would make my heart happy. So let me tell you this. If you're already subscribed to the show, thank you so much. You're literally the best. And today we have another manifesty bestie for ya. It is the Kaitlyn Herman, life coach and former Houseguest on Big Brother 20. So you know, it's actually kind of crazy. So I have a funny story for you. So I was on my computer the other day. I was looking through some old paperwork, and I had always had it in my head that I had made it to semifinals for BB17. I think I told you guys it'd take me 7 different years of applying to make it on Big Brother. And the only other year that I ever heard any feedback was when I made it to semifinals, and then I got cut right before finals. I don't know why I always had it in my head that it was BB17, but I actually looked at the date and did the math for my paperwork, and actually it was for BB20. So Kaitlyn and I, in another timeline, could have met each other sooner than we actually did, but the universe figured out a different way to bring us together anyways. And honestly, I think that's just so beautiful. You know, I don't think we probably would have ever been cast on the same season anyways, because usually there's only like one spiritual person in a cast. I probably would have been like her slot or maybe Sam's slot from that season. She was kind of like quirky and Southern. You know, regardless, I did not make the cut and they did. And I had to wait my turn till BB24, but it's just kind of funny to think that that could have been the case. But in this episode, I go deep with Kaitlyn about what the healing process looks like 5 years out from Big Brother, how you can manifest health after experiencing chronic pain and chronic illness. And we both talk about some really big things that we're both manifesting next and what we're using, our kind of spiritual toolkit that we're using to manifest these next chapters in our lives. And what I really love about this conversation is that Kaitlyn, she just gets it, you know, because she's a life coach herself. It was really kind of fun from two, you know, I'm a coach, she's a coach, to bring these perspectives. She just really understands the power of shifting your perspective and really opening your mind up to new possibilities. That's a lot of what we talk about here. And that's exactly the kind of work we do through the brain training in my one-on-one hypnotherapy and coaching programs. I often like to think of those coaching programs kind of like personal training. It's like personal training, but instead of building up your physical muscles, it's building up your mental muscles. In actuality, it's more like a good stretching routine. You ever, you know, I used to be a cheerleader in high school. You know, I worked on my splits again and again and again, this repetition to stretch out these muscles, right? And that's kind of what this work is like. You know, it's like stretching the brain while building up those new neural networks so that you can believe in new possibilities for yourself. I sort of think of like a brain that hasn't experienced hypnotherapy or coaching is kind of like really stiff and rigid. It's kind of like that person, you know, that, you know, bends over and can't even touch their toes. You know, they're stiff. There's only a certain range of mobility of their muscles, right? There's only a certain range of mobility of what they can believe about themselves and what's possible in their life. And so when you're stuck in one set of beliefs or one way of seeing yourself, you become very stiff and rigid in this way. But by training and by stretching and practicing new ways of being, these new beliefs become stronger. Your possibilities expand. And then that's when the fun part happens. The things in your life begin to manifest around you. They begin to change. Because here's the thing, when your brain expands, when you stretch your possibilities, so too does the world around you. That's why when you have a limited mindset, you only manifest very little of what you want. When you have a big, open, expanded, stretched out, built up mindset, that's when you can manifest big things. Oh, and it's truly a beautiful thing. And so I love that Kaitlyn understands that and starts to speak through some of that stuff. We dive deep into all of that in today's episode. So what do you say? Let's jump on in. Kaitlyn, hello. How are you doing this morning?
I'm so excited that we get to do this. Like, it's good for us to catch up like once a quarter, you know?
I agree with that. I agree with that so hardly. I'm kind of just like I'm like having like a little bit of a moment. Cause I mean, we've talked before and we've even FaceTime, but just like I don't think you ever get over the fact, if you're a fan of Big Brother, getting to talk and like be friends with people that you used to like fangirl over. Like that's, it still blows my mind. Which, speaking of this, somebody asked, I put out a little question box before this interview of questions. Somebody wanted to know how we met, how we got connected. I mean, of course it's like, through Big Brother, but like they wanted to know more of that story. And so I was curious, do you mind if I tell a quick story of how we met?
Yeah.
Even though I will say this story does not paint me in the best light. Like, I'm going to be honest with this story. Okay. Are you fine with this? Okay. So I get a message from you. I'm fresh out of the Big Brother house, right? It's early October. It's about a year ago. Fresh out of the Big Brother house. I get a DM from Kaitlyn, and I literally looked it back up because I wanted to say it exactly. She says, "Hi, sweets. I know you didn't necessarily love me, LOL, but the light in me noticed the light in you immediately." Okay, guys, I want you to know my mind was like going crazy. First of all, I'm like, oh my gosh, Kaitlyn Herman's in my DMs. This is so exciting, right?
Oh,
the fan of me. And then I'm like, what the F did I say? Like what? My mind's racing. I'm trying to go back through like 24/7 of 3 months of every little thought I might have uttered out loud. And here's what I still don't know what I said. So you'll have to tell me if you remember, but I know what I probably was thinking. I thought I was a super fan of Big Brother. I was not a super fan. I was what they would call a casual, someone who watched 20 years worth of just the TV. And as we know, Big Brother, or really any reality TV, right? They got to put you in this box to make you digestible and to make you this like quote unquote character. And I think I interpreted from the TV show of you being this like meditation California, and I felt like it was like Big Brother was like making fun of that. And as somebody who loves spirituality and loves meditation, loves all these things, I was like not too keen on that. Of course, look at me. Who was I? I was the quirky hypnotist that belly dances, right? Like I was this character too. But what really kind of took me over was like the fact that you were just like so nice and so sweet and like offered me so much grace. And you'll have to correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like you might have you knew what I hadn't yet learned yet, which is like in the house, every single little thought or little thing is dissected and out there, and you don't really know the gravity of what you say and how everyone can hear. I don't know. I'm just curious your thoughts. What was kind of like going through your mind?
You even like say that and reflect on that, because I honestly don't remember what it was. But hearing you repeat that it's a point of reflection for me, because why did I even need to say that? Like, why?
I'm so glad you did.
No, but you know what's interesting though? Because if I really like knew who I was and loved myself, and like it's all a process and it's all a journey and whatever. Like we've all been, better than we were a year ago in some respect. Yeah. But like if I didn't need to say, I know you're not a fan of me. Like that hearing now, like today's Kaitlyn is like, that's so fascinating that you even, why couldn't I have just said the light in me sees the light in you? And like,
I am so happy. No, I think if we're talking about manifestation, I think I manifested that through you, because that was literally the biggest thing. Kaitlyn, I'm not kidding. And I talked to a lot of alum after the show, like we all did. Right. Yeah. But like I needed to hear that. I needed to hear like, oh no. But I must have said something, because I know how I feel about you, and how I've always felt about you is not like, I don't like her.
But it is different. It is different because, no, I totally agree, because like, let's be clear, like the representation that CBS gave me was fairly accurate, which is even scarier because it wasn't great, right? But that's who I was at that moment, and that's like where it was. But similarly to what you then experienced, you realize that like when they throw you in the box of like the quirky hypnotist, you almost like take it on. Like
you do, because that's how you get on the show. Like, let's just be honest. Like, you need to know who you are, but not like who you are as a dimensional human, like who you are surface level. And so, yes, I am a quirky hypnotist. Like, that is true. I'm a belly dancer. That is true. Is that all of me? No. Is that the totality of me? No. And so, no, Kaitlyn, I am serious. If I'm being like selfish here, I'm so glad you said that to me, because it was the first time, and I was fresh out of the house, right? It was the first time that I realized, oh no, something that I said either was hurtful or was interpreted as hurtful or whatever it might have been. And that was not my intention. This is what life might be like now. Like, I was so new out of the house, I hadn't really realized that. And so that was the biggest gift. Like, honestly, that was the biggest gift. And of course, like, we FaceTimed afterwards, and it was so much fun. And that's why it was so nice. It was like, oh my God, like we got to know each other, like on a real human, like not watching via a TV screen level. And I was like, oh my gosh, she's like all my friends. Like, she's like so wonderful. And I don't know. I just think it was.
I relate. Like, trust me, the same thing happened. Here's the other thing though, Brittany, like when you're in the house, which obviously you know now, you're with all these strangers, and the only thing for the most part that you guys have in common is the fact that most of you have watched previous seasons. So it's like when you go to like, it's a human thing, like shit talking friends, or like not even shit talking, just talking about people. So when all you guys have in common are previous people, it makes sense. And of course, I had to learn that the hard way too. I said some gnarly things about past alumni when I was on the show. Nothing that was like about people's character, X, Y, or Z.
No.
Mostly just like, things out of insecurity, like just random shit. But your experience is it reminds me of when I went on to season 21 to host a competition. Yeah. I had known prior to walking in the house that like Christy really didn't like me. She was very vocal about the fact that like apparently like I was putting a bad name on spirituality. She didn't like the way I moved, X, Y, and Z, whatever. Not a big deal. But after I had like left, I guess, spending some time with them and like whatever, she was saying on the feeds, like, I feel like the biggest asshole of all time because like I've never met like a nicer, more like light person. And I think that that's the moral of the story is that that's for all of us. Every single person, whether you're a dick on the show, whether we all are a part of something which connects us. Like that's likable, to be fair.
Yep. So here's my like actual question, right? Like whether it's Big Brother, whether it's anything, like how do you handle negativity in life? You find yourself surrounded by negative opinions. Like how do you handle it?
Brittany, it's exactly kind of like what you were saying before. Like it's natural, it's human to have opinions about people that you're watching on TV or just in general life. But 9 times out of 10, for the most part, when you have an actual interaction with the person, it really is mulled over for the most part. Like, unless it's a really like extreme circumstance, until the person actually knows you and knows your heart and knows your intentions and X, Y, and Z, I just don't really care about what someone says because you don't know me. You really just don't know me. And I think a lot of that though comes with like, how do you have the strength to just like be so sure of yourself? And, if you begin to kind of believe the things that people will say when you don't have a solid foundation of like, who am I? What are my values? Do I love myself? Yeah. And that takes a while if you don't, but like I do at this point in my life. And I think I always have, like, I have a very strong knowing of who I am, even when the person I know I am is like damaged and like kooky and whatever, like the things that I've had to deal with, at least I know. So like, if someone says something that's like out of pocket, it doesn't make a difference. Like,
yeah. Here's my thing. I don't feel like I totally am like on the same page with you with that. Yeah. I don't feel like I believe what the people say. So I feel like I know who I am. Where I still get tripped up on this is like, I know who I am and I want you to know who I am. You are wrong, person. You know, like how do you do you feel that, like, how do you let go of that desire? I feel like that's you know how we always talk about like healing in layers after Big Brother? Yeah. That's the layer of healing a year out that I'm at. I'm good with myself. I don't believe the outside stuff. I just have this overwhelming desire for you to understand what I know about me.
It's like the justice warrior complex of like you really wanting people to understand like who you are, that you're correct, that your opinion, and that all comes from a sense of validation. It goes back to self-love. It's like if I really knew who I was, if I really was firm in my belief that this is who I am, nothing can shake it, then it does not matter what anyone else thinks. But that's very difficult because self-love is layered and validation is layered. And there comes points where people find the need to defend themselves, and it gets to the point where it's like, what are you defending? So why, if you know your X, Y, and Z, what is the pull to continue after you've addressed onward and onward? Like it would be like you trying to convince yourself of something.
Yeah. Yeah. I so resonate with all of that. And that's been the kind of like, just to be completely honest, like where I'm at right now, that's been the kind of like, mindset sort of shifts I've been making is like, we all live in our own realities. Like we just do. Like our own perception is our own reality. And so I cannot control the realities of all those people out there. And there's many realities that I'm very happy with. There are plenty of people who think very kindly of my game and I appreciate their realities. There are other realities that I'm like somehow wanting to control. I can't control them. All I can control is my perception and my reality. And so I know what kind of game I'm proud of myself. And I think that's what it ultimately came down to. I was like, that experience was so hard. And I think I did pretty doggone good. Like all things considering how hard it was. So it's like that. I feel good with that. And so guess what? That's the reality I live in. I feel good with that. Like, let's move on. Like the other realities can be out there and exist, you know?
You are so ahead of the game in so many ways because I mean, now I was on 5 years ago, which is like so fucking insane. Sorry.
It doesn't feel like, even as somebody who watched it, doesn't feel that long ago. Like it doesn't even feel that long ago.
It's not normal. But the jump between age 24 and 29 is so big. And that's where I am now, where it's like, kind of like what you said, like you think back, like you're proud of yourself for your game. Yeah. My whole cast, they can all say if everyone separately was interviewed, like who got it the worst out of like your cast? It's Kaitlyn. I literally did get it the worst out of public opinion.
Really?
Oh my God. Yeah.
Really? I guess because I was always the casual. Like I was always I wasn't in the, the world.
I mean, I was stupid. Then. That's the thing. People would say I'm stupid. I'm an idiot.
So
like I'm
true.
Easily manipulated. But the things that they were saying were partially true. And the thing is, like, it gets to a point where, like, in the beginning when I first got off, there was a lot of not like outward embarrassment because I always like owned it and I would make a joke of, I would join the joke of like, I mean, I really would. Yeah. But now it's like, I can confidently say at this point, 5 years later, like I'm officially not embarrassed of my journey and what I went through. I think it was perfect, quite literally in every way. Because while some people go on the show and like you can look back at your experience and you kind of replay the game over because the game was what you were in. I was not on Big Brother for the game. Like my big takeaway was much bigger and something that I had to go through on a personal level to like really see myself.
Yeah.
So, but also Brittany, like you were just on, like you're allowed.
I will say I've done so many layers of healing, but like it still's like, this is crazy that like this is still such a big part of my life. You don't prepare for yourself of how much Big Brother will continually be a part of your life, even after you've been on. You kind of think it's like, oh, that's done, but it's not done. Like,
okay,
you know, like really.
Here's my question for you.
Yeah.
Or like not a question, but like kind of like an exercise. Sorry that I'm like coaching you for
yeah.
Like,
no, this is good.
Pretend honestly that it's 5 years from now. And you're having this conversation from, you know, another person, and another person is interviewing now. The same thing that we're doing. Someone is interviewing you that was on the show last year, and you had been on 5 years ago. And you're talking about like the things that have changed and who you are. Where do you think you're going to be and see this experience in 5 years from now? Like,
I mean, I think that's so funny. Like, even just you putting in perspective the difference between being 29 versus 24. Like, even me, 29 and 24. Of course, I'm 33 now. But, like, that's a huge difference. I couldn't imagine having your 24. I wouldn't want my 24 on TV. Like, are you kidding me? So, if I'm going to be 5 years from where I am now, I'm sure I wouldn't have wanted what was 32 on TV. You know what I mean? Like, you're going to grow just as a human. Like, I told myself, I am not posting anything online about any house guests. Like unless it's positive and rooting them on and this and that. And then I also told myself, like, when the house guests, at least for this next season, come out, like, I want to just let them know I'm there for them, because when people like you did that, like, it meant a lot. Like, in those moments when you need somebody who's going to be there, that's like understands but isn't in the game and like wasn't in your season, like, it's just helpful to have those mentors. And so it's like, okay, it's deciding who you want to be. You know, it's deciding
also,
who you want to be.
Aside from that, it's also, I mean, with any comment, if someone even else makes a comment, it's also showing you the things that are deeply unhealed within yourself. And although 1 year you think is a long time, it's not a long time. You went through a very severe experience that was lovely in so many ways and led to friendships and exposure and X, Y, and Z, but it's going to sit in your body for a very, very, very long time.
You know what I just realized yesterday?
What?
So this was so crazy. I just realized yesterday I was working with my coach, right? And this is why coaching, guys, Kaitlyn and I can say, so important, right? It helps. So I've done all this healing, right? I felt like I was good. I'm like, moving through life. I had just realized yesterday that I was still treating like other aspects of my life like I was still playing the game. So like I was like, I have noticed that since Big Brother, I've been in such a high state of alert where I'm like, I don't know if I would call it anxiety, like with a capital A, but like just high alert. Yeah. And I was like, oh man, like I wasn't this way before Big Brother. This is kind of interesting to me. I used to just be a lot more laid back. And now I'm just kind of like, oh, my business and like, oh, starting a family and all these things, like high alert, high alert, high alert. And I was like, oh, because when I was in the house, it felt like life or death to me to win this game, to have this experience. I really attached winning to the ability to start my family, like adoption costs and things like that. And I realized that I've carried, I mean, literally, right? If you do something 24/7 for 3 full months, you create new neural pathways within the brain. You create new habits of mind and being. And I realized that I was carrying out that playing like my business was like a game that you could either win or lose, or, you know, starting a family was a game that you either are pregnant or you're not, win or lose, right? All these things. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, life is not like the game of Big Brother. Like, it's a lot more chill. It's a lot more, you can just kind of be, you know? Like,
yeah, but whether you're on Big Brother or not, like, that's very relatable, Brittany. Like, there are people that, even if they didn't play Big Brother, that's how they see things. It's either you achieve the thing you want or you don't. And it's like, you're not allowing space for just like the in-between surrender time where like other things can happen. Like, it's so fucked up, like what we do to ourselves. Kind of like, if we're going to use your example of like, you associated winning with them, like having this money to start a family and continue, when it's like, when you attach to that outcome, even though it's like a beautiful thing to manifest, winning the game, you're like leaving out room for like 12,000 million whatever other options that could be even better and get you even more money. Like, you winning the 750 at the end would have been great, but like that's also so limiting to be like, if I win this, then that's how I make the money, when like there's other options.
No, that was like literally attaching one. So pretend you have a million different timelines, a million different hows. And I was attaching this one timeline connected to this one thing. And I was just like, that's the way it has to be. And honestly, I like, now that I had this realization, like it's very fresh for me. Like we're talking less than 24-hour realization. Yeah. I was like, I need to go take that to my hypnotherapist, because I feel like I have this association that was very strong, that was built up of like winning the game equals being able to have a family. Here I am a year later, husband and I have been trying, not pregnant yet. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like, I wonder if that has something to do with it. I wonder if I had associated those things so strongly that it's like, I need to just kind of let that go, because you're so right. Those things are not inherently connected. Like,
no, not at all.
I can have a family without having one big brother. Like that is not, but in my mind, like that was what it meant when I was in that house. It was like, I'm going to do this for my husband. I'm going to do this for my family. Like that was what kept me going. And I mean, I honestly think it got me far in the game, that like, that mentality. But now it's like, let it go. Like, let it go. It's not helping
serving you at all. And here's the other thing. Like, I do live under the belief that like, Brittany, if you're supposed to have a child, you will have a child. Like, there is nothing that you can do that will get in the way of that. There's also nothing that you can be doing more of or less of. Like, you're gonna have the kid. Like, in whichever form it happens. You might have one, you might have two, who fucking knows? But the soul, you guys already fucking signed it off, in my opinion. So like,
they're signed to me. Yeah, they're stuck with me.
It's there. It's already. So now it's like, okay. Nobody's saying to stay like stagnant, but I do have this like theory that like we all just need to be like doing less, like just way less, because it's going, and that's not an excuse to be like lazy and not proactive, because we should all be proactive and motivated by the things that we want. But when it comes down to things like this, like pregnancy and finding your purpose, or, you know, figuring out what your purpose is, like all of these things that are like, or waiting on a diagnosis, like these are things that like we really just, there's nothing we can do that's going to change us figuring this out. So yes, if there are medical things that need to go into place, take action on that. But then like while it's happening, just chill the fuck out, because the process also that's happening for you, like, and this delay in your mind of like, it's and not happening soon enough or this or that, like, the timeline in general that you have also created of like when it is sufficient and when you want this child is also very limiting, because in your mind you've attached, I want this child and I want it soon and I'm trying to make that happen, yet you're not considering the fact that like this in between time is designed for whatever the highest good is. We don't know what that is. Like, it is perfect.
And that makes so much sense. The kind of just chilling and just like letting go and like chilling out. I feel that now when I unattach of this like game mentality. Like I think I've been competitive for so long. There was like, there's winning, there's losing, there's right, there's wrong. And I see this a lot with my clients too, that it's like, but when it just is, like when life just is and you're just living, like that allows so much more like curiosity and exploration and openness and like, oh, what is this time? Like I'm just in it. And it's not like it releases that judgment on it, which isn't that the thing that's blocking it. I mean, I know this, I teach this, you know, like we know these things, but it's like to live them, you know? Here's this other thing, Kaitlyn. So somebody was asking me like, what other advice did you give? Like when I got out of the house, and I was trying to remember our conversation. Do you remember we talked about alignment in the Big Brother house? Do you remember when we FaceTime, we were talking about alignment and how dang hard it is to stay in a place of alignment in an environment like the Big Brother house? Like, so talk to me. How do you become energetically aligned these days? Like when we think about alignment, being aligned to our higher self, our, you know, the universe, what's that process like for you? What do you think about? Like, what does alignment mean for you these days?
Yeah. Well, to be quite transparent, like we are all capable of being aligned and we're all capable of not being aligned. And I think for the most part, most of us experience like a shift of it, like multiple times a day. Yeah. And I am out of alignment a lot, but I think what differentiates maybe myself versus some other people is that my turnaround rate is like very high.
So how do you recognize when you're out? Like, what does that look like for you, that awareness?
It's just like, I'm like mean, like
you're like, oh, that wasn't nice.
The worst parts about yourself, like, or the worst parts. It's just the shit that you like. If I'm out of alignment, I'm a little bit more judgmental. I'm maybe acting on like fear-based thoughts. I'm giving into like limiting beliefs. I'm a little bit harsher to like my parents. Like when I'm out of alignment, I'm just not who I feel like I am in my soul and like in my best way. And unfortunately, I think life in general, like I do believe that we're all born good and we're all born pure. And then life, that's this earth school, this experience, this human design that like we are just in a constant state of trying to. Marianne Williamson has a book called A Return to Love. And it's basically the entire thing is like, no, we all come from this place of love. We all come from like our mother's uterus or a woman's uterus in general. And then like we come out here and we are grabbed in every direction and we have fucking shit all over us and we're disgusting and we're yelling and people are grabbing us. And it's like we are introduced to fear the second we get here.
Boom.
Here. Exactly.
I was a C-section baby and they cut my leg. Okay. So I was a C-section. They cut my leg. Me and my mom have matching scars. I always say that's why I'm such a drama queen, because I literally like my first introduction to being human was like, slice open your leg, little baby. Like
welcome,
it's awful. Welcome. Here's Earth.
So fucked up. That is so
Isn't that awful? So I resonate with that. Yeah. Like it's just like, you're there.
Yeah,
welcome.
It's literally like, here we are. Here's a cut on your leg. Congrats. Yeah, it's not. But like, truly, that is our entire lives, I think, is like trying to figure out then what alignment means to you, like what centered means to you, which is your birthright. It's where you come from. But noise and life and experiences kind of like fog it up. So I just feel like for me, the ways that I become more aligned is so uniquely mine, and it could resonate with some people, but like the way that you find your own personal alignment is so uniquely yours. Like, and the best way to figure out what that is I would really just say like, figure out or write down the things that make you so implicitly happy, like next level fucking happy, whether it's like talking to a friend or like playing with an animal, whatever the hell it is, just kind of like make a list of those things that make you so happy so that maybe when you feel overwhelmed, stressed, like you're being an asshole to people, just go back to that list and be like, what can I participate in right now that would actually just like shift this whole mood around? And then you just become aware of like what works, what doesn't work, X, Y, and Z.
I loved what you said early on here about like not feeling like you were being yourself or like the best version of you, like that being a sign of being out of alignment, because that just like in my brain, like that was Big Brother for me. Like I think the whole time I realized I'm not being myself. I don't feel true to myself. A big part of that was because I was hiding that I was a hypnotherapist, and that is so much a part of me and my purpose and like who I am, that like looking back on it, like in hindsight, I would have never kept that. I would have let people judge me. Maybe I would have been targeted early. They would have thought I was hypnotizing them. But I genuinely think that they would have seen my passion for what I do and like this kind of conversation we're having now, that they would have been like, oh, she makes so much more sense. But like I wasn't making sense to people because they weren't seeing the deepest part of me and I wasn't sharing that. And so I think that's so interesting that you say like recognizing like, oh, I'm not who I am. Like that is going to feel out of alignment. Destination Manifestation will be right back. So let me ask you this. When do you plan on living your dream life? Seriously. Because here's the thing. The past is done. The future is never promised. So when? Honestly, now is the only time you have to live a life of your dreams. Because the now is all you are ever guaranteed. It's all you ever really truly have. Now, I'm sure you guys see this all the time, right? These days, we have such amazing people doing such amazing things. We have international superstars like Taylor Swift and Beyonce taking the music world by storm. We have entrepreneurs that are literally funding their way to space. We have Nobel-winning scientists developing life-saving vaccines and cures to diseases. I mean, it's literally mind-blowing. And hey, don't get me wrong. I love these big, huge, life-changing manifestations. I see them every day. But just yesterday, I was traveling on home and I was thinking to myself, what if you just want to enjoy your life a little bit more fully and manifest a life that brings you joy, contentment, maybe a little bit extra fun, freedom, time? Or maybe it's manifesting a new job or a move to a new city or even meeting your soulmate, your dream partner. Maybe it's manifesting a business that affords you a life to focus on your passions and what you love most. Hey, I manifested that. I understand. Well, it turns out that's exactly what one-on-one hypnotherapy and coaching is designed to help you do. For manifesting more abundance, whether that be money, time, freedom, love, to creating a life that you're actually excited to live. One-on-one hypnotherapy and coaching can help you create the mindset that will fuel a better, more joyful life for you. And through my one-on-one hypnotherapy and coaching programs, I'll take your hand and I'll guide you through the tools that you need to align your thoughts, your beliefs, and your actions to create a life of your wildest dreams. Trust me, right now the world just feels downright chaotic. There's so many different things that are competing for our attention. You got the news, you got social media, obligations, chores, responsibilities. There's so many demands placed on us that it just feels like there's nothing left for you. But with my programs that use the power of hypnotherapy specifically for manifestation, my one-on-one hypnotherapy and coaching programs are like having that personal trainer, but for your mind. That's kind of what I am, because together we build those mental muscles that are required to believe in your success, to map out a plan, and to support you every step of the way so that you can begin to live life on your own terms. Trust me, now is the time to live your life and start manifesting your success today. Go to BrittanyHoopes.com to learn more. So I'm so curious. Tell me about a time when maybe you didn't feel very aligned. You recognize this within yourself. You weren't being like who you know yourself to be, but you recovered and you got yourself to a better feeling place. I know you have a course called Defunk Yourself. Like,
yeah.
Tell me, like, when did you defunk yourself and get yourself to a better feeling place?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think Big Brother would be the most obvious example, so I'm not going to use it.
Oh, love it. Tell me something else.
Yeah, I think like before we like hopped on here, you asked me like, is there anything I'm uncomfortable talking about? Which the answer is obviously no. But you'd asked me about like pain and stuff that I've dealt with. So for people that are listening, like after Big Brother, the beginning of 2020, well, I was on Big Brother in 2018, but in 2020, kind of COVID time, I started experiencing very light pain in my jaw, but I had always, for the 2 years prior and starting a few months before I got on Big Brother, I had been like a teeth grinder at night. So I always knew that that was like the big thing in the Big Brother house. People would be like, Kaitlyn, shut the fuck in the middle of the night.
Really?
Oh my God. Haley would literally take my jaw in the middle of the night and just go like this. And she would be like, shh, it's okay. And I'm like, I don't even know I'm doing it. But
yeah, I used to be a teeth grinder too. I totally get that.
It's trauma that's coming out at night. So whatever. It doesn't matter. Didn't realize. And I never was in pain from it. So I'm like, okay, whatever. In 2020, I was like, fuck, this like kind of hurts a little bit. So I, went to a dentist and got a mouth guard. But the thing with like a mouth guard is that it protects your teeth, right? You're still grinding your teeth at night, but like the dentist is just trying to protect your teeth. So it doesn't, you're still moving your jaw. It still hurts. Yeah.
Yeah.
So fast forward, long story short, I, moved back to New York from LA because it was COVID time and I wanted to be closer to my family. And I woke up one morning in January of 2021 and I knew I was grinding my teeth the night before. And from that day up until somewhat recently, I was in pain every single day, every single day of my life. The most chronic, severe, fucked up pain ever. And it wasn't like, a normal, like, back pain or whatever, it's like in your face, right?
Could you open your mouth? Like I remember once it was so bad I could barely open my mouth to put like a spoon in. Like I was like, oh
yeah,
like,
I could
oh
barely
my God,
open my. So here's the thing, when you have TMJ, there's different like levels to it. So some people have like, they can get that lockjaw. I had the opposite. I had hypermobility. So basically my joints were not like connected well, and it was just creating even more movement. Really? So essentially pain just like radiates throughout my face, the back of my head, down my neck, my traps, everything. And it was literally the most, in the beginning year, it was so difficult to align myself because I felt tired and I felt exhausted and I was in pain. And it's like, it was very challenging to be kind and nice and to work with other people when like I'm dealing with my own thing and doctors don't know what to tell me. But after getting used to it, which just sucks, but like, you know, getting used to the fact that I need to create my own peace within this, I just figured out what worked best for me to kind of like accept that if I'm really under the belief that everything's happening for the highest good at any given moment, this doesn't not include this. So once I was able to kind of like, for me, getting back into alignment is changing my mindset and remembering what I know to be true, which is that like every single thing that's happening is perfect. And I would just try to like ask myself every day, like, what is the purpose of this pain? Like, how can I find purpose in this pain? And that was really kind of what got me through many years.
How did you find purpose in it? Like what was the answer to that question?
Honestly, I started meeting and gaining more clients that also dealt with chronic pain. So like having other people to like, who didn't even have like the small foundation that I had of like mindset and kind of like giving them those tools and walking them through those things. Like that was really healing and helpful. But I mean, you just get to a point where like you have to ask yourself, like, do you want to be miserable? Because the pain is not changing for the foreseeable future. So like I can either be miserable and in pain, or I can be like really grossly delusionally positive and in pain. And if you're grossly delusionally positive, have you seen like all the TikToks and reels that are like being delulu is the salulu?
Yeah.
I was delusional. I was literally like, my pain, like I made a reel about this the other day, but like, I quite literally started telling myself that like, you know, God or the universe doesn't give you anything you can't handle. And I'm going through so much right now. And like, he's flirting with me.
Oh
like,
my gosh.
Like, what?
I can handle so much.
You really think that like, I can tolerate this scene and like the world calling me like a racist slut and like being like,
wow.
Like,
thank
what
you.
You love me. That's how
love
it
me
works.
so much.
And it helped.
Yeah.
It really just fucking helped.
Yeah. I mean, that makes so much sense. So like, say there's somebody out there that is manifesting health. What does that look like? You just gave a great example there, like become Delulu. Like you just, and what I love about that too is like, I literally had this on like such a micro moment, but I'm an introvert, like at heart, like parties, I don't like them. I was going to a party one day and I was like, I can be a miserable like hermit in the corner at this party, or I can go to this party and I can just enjoy it. Like those are my two options. I'm going to the party. I'm like literally halfway there. I'm driving. Like, and that just reminds me, it's like, okay, I'm going to be in pain. Like it's accepting this in this moment. Doesn't mean it can't shift. Doesn't mean it can't change. Doesn't mean you can't heal, but accepting what is in the moment. And then what are you bringing to it? Are there any other spiritual practices, mindset practices that you would advise someone who's manifesting health in some way?
Well, that's a good point. Here's the thing. Like we need to, if you are someone that's also just like dealing with chronic pain or health anxiety, which is like a whole other fucking podcast for another time, because like, aren't we all just like kind of hypochondriacs in a way, which we can get into another time. But like, if you are someone that is dealing with like long lasting pain, sickness, whatever, it's very easy for you to like give in to the limiting belief that like you're going to wake up tomorrow or from your nap and you're still going to be in pain because that's what you've experienced every other fucking day. But if you're going to do that, if your mind naturally goes to the negative, quote unquote, of like, which you think you're a realist because you know, this is the way it's been. Like, you're really not impressing anyone. Nobody like thinks you're amazing because you guessed right that you like woke up in pain.
Yeah.
If you can let go of the limiting beliefs that like just because you've been in pain yesterday and the day before means that you're going to be in pain tomorrow, like that's just not fucking true. Like, you need to be absolutely optimistic every single day when you wake up that like, I could be okay in an hour. Like, that is a reality that can exist for me. Like, just constantly, and it might take a very long time, but it's your birthright to feel good, and like that will come. And mindset has so much effect on the nervous system and the way your body's going to feel. So just try to acknowledge you having a limiting belief. And if you're going to think negatively and you're going to think like, I'm going to wake up tomorrow and I'm going to be in pain, force yourself to be like, there's also a chance I don't. There's also a chance I wake up tomorrow and because you and I know this, like we can't tell someone to like just think positive. Like that's just like not going to happen. So if you are going to naturally think negatively, amazing, great, do that. But then also consider the other option because we don't know what's going to happen. We're not psychics. I mean, maybe you are, but it's not relevant in this moment. So you're going to be like, tonight's going to fucking suck. This party's going to suck. Be so aware of the way your mind is thinking and then be like, there's also a chance this party's fucking amazing. And I like walk out with 10 times more friends. Like, do the back and forth. Keep going back and forth in your mind of like one way and then another way.
Because if you're shutting out that possibility, then yes, you will be right. But again, no extra points for you. Like no extra points for you in your life. No one's excited for you. You've created that. So why not be open? And again, it's not going to be this like, oh, rainbows and sunshine. Like you're not going to go from 0 to 100, but why not have the possibility open? That's why I love, and I talk about all the time, this idea of bridge thoughts. Like if you can't believe the thought just as it is, tack on a little sentence that like, it might be true that I blah, 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 blah. Or like, find ways to kind of ease into the thought, ease into the chance that there could be possibility. So Kaitlyn, here's something. And I feel like this can sometimes feel a bit like a conundrum for somebody. So we were talking about accepting like where you are in the present moment. Like, okay, yes, I'm feeling pain. It's right here. How can you accept, but then also be open to the possibility that it can change? Like, I know both those things can exist at the same time, but like, how do you reconcile them in your mind or with your clients?
Yeah, honestly, it comes down to like changing your definition of pain. Like we are taught, like, the fucking doctors scraped your fucking leg. Like when you got out, at a certain point, we learned along the way that like, a scrape, a cut, a scar, pain. We learned pain equals bad. Like pain equals sickness and sickness equals bad. And like when people are sick, they're in the hospital and they can die and that's bad. We associate death with bad. We associate illness with bad. Like that is just what we learned. And I've learned through my own self over the last several years that pain does not equal bad. It doesn't equal good, but it doesn't equal bad. It doesn't equal anything. It just is. Yeah. And I think that when people have the belief like I do of like everything's happening for the highest good at every given moment, it doesn't mean that we're going to be happy. Like it doesn't mean that the thing we're experiencing is going to be like overwhelming joy and excitement, but that's life. Like we are going to experience so many different things and they're not good or bad or happy or sad or whatever it is. They just are. So when I like kind of detached from I'm in pain, doctors can't figure out what's wrong with me. Like I created that story as like, this is terrible and like no one can help me and nobody knows what's wrong with me and this is awful and this is bad. And I just kind of like realized, I don't even remember when or one day or how, but I just kind of was like, I'm so sick of like putting this feeling behind it. Like I'm already in pain, right? Like I don't need to now also be like mad that I'm in pain or associate with bad. I just like kind of like accepted it and surrendered. And I'm just like, yeah, I am experiencing pain today. That's it. Like, I'm not adding more things onto it.
That like layer of suffering that just pokes at the existing pain and inflames it so much more. I mean, I don't mean like maybe in a physical sense, but like in a mental sense too. Like that layer of suffering, of judgment of the pain, or judgment of yourself for having the pain, or judgment of the doctors for not being able to identify the pain, or whatever it might be. Just it fires it up so much more. So much more. So that's interesting. Okay, so if you remove that layer and then it just is, and you're not having a thought that's judging it, you're just letting it be, then that opens up your mind to possibility that it could continue to be, it could not continue to be. There's all this, like, you're just so much more open because the judgment isn't clouding and locking anything in, I guess.
Exactly. And if we're in the market of like manifesting, which is like what you're doing, I'm very like strong-willed on the fact that you can manifest anything, but I try very hard to try to manifest and actively manifest in a way where I'm not actually manifesting an outcome, and I'm manifesting an experience to get to a particular outcome. So like when I'm in pain, like, because again, I want to continue on a path that is for the highest good, for my deepest spiritual development. And that might fucking mean that I need to be in pain just a little bit longer. And I don't want to be judgmental of that potential outcome. So instead, I'll like, if I'm really suffering one day and I'm like really having an on my knees moment where I'm like in so much pain, I will ask God or the universe or whatever you want to believe in for an opportunity. The universe, please provide me the opportunity to feel better. What does that mean? Whether it's manifesting, maybe that'll be a doctor. Maybe that'll be me hearing a podcast where someone says something that shifts my mindset. Or there would be times where I'll be like, allow me the creative solution so that I can see this differently. Like, yeah, you can sit here and try to like manifest the 750 or this money,
a singular outcome, a singular how, or
and to be honest, who am I to know if that's really what is the best thing for me to have? So like, I can want to win Big Brother, and I had been saying that too before going on. I'm like, I've been manifesting this win since I was a kid. I'm fucking sure in my head, but like, really, it's like, I don't want what's not mine. So it's like, if I leave it open to the possibility of like, I'm manifesting a creative outcome or a creative new mindset or whatever, that means I can end up with 10 million. That means I can end up with a different path. Like, who fucking knows? I just want what's meant for me. So that's really the best way I can explain that mindset.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. So there's also something else, and I'm curious if you experience this or if your clients have experienced this. I know I've had clients that had that when we get something, a diagnosis, when we're dealing with some sort of health thing, how do we not let that infiltrate our sense of identity or like take it on so much? I know even this, I have PCOS. It's like, I've been doing so much work on being like, okay, I might have PCOS. This might be a diagnosis, a physical symptom of these things, but I am not PCOS. You know what I mean? Like, you are not TMJ. Like, you know, these things, you can have the pain, but you are not the pain. Like, I'm curious any advice you might have for someone that might be noticing that they're identifying too strongly with the thing. Like, how do we separate identity and these health things?
Yeah. The thing about my mindset and where I can help people is if you already have a foundation of like some sort of spiritual foundation to begin with. Yeah. Because there's a lot of people that can be experiencing pain and chronic illness and identity of that thing, and they might hear what I'm saying and it might not resonate. And that's where I respectfully say, then go to another person, because my outlook is not necessarily for everyone. But I do find that when you are experiencing something like chronic pain or a diagnosis or someone close to you dies or whatever, there is that human part of us that even if you're a total pessimist or a cynic or an atheist or whatever, when something like that happens, there's this little crack that happens to literally every single client I've ever had that maybe didn't register as a spiritual person, where you are so willing to do anything or to believe anything because you're so fucking desperate to feel. And that is normal and natural to have faith in something. You want to feel better. You are willing to believe or hear or to do anything. But if you are someone that does already have this spiritual foundation and have this belief of what you are, who you are, I take it back to like before you were exposed to earth and you're just this little baby thing. And before you were in physical form, you were a soul, and that's who you are. You are your soul. But the physical human body that we have, it's just it's our vessel to experience our life. Like, and you were given that body for a particular reason, these little quirks and illnesses and this and that. You were given that strategically to deepen your spiritual foundation here. So like, if you're not under that belief, then I'm sorry, like this is unhelpful to you.
Yeah.
And you might be listening and you might not resonate with it now, but maybe at some point you will, or maybe never. It makes no difference to me. But that's how I separate it. I am not Kaitlyn, I have TMJ, X, Y, and Z. I'm Kaitlyn, and I've been experiencing TMJ and TMJ symptoms. That's just a part of the human body design that I am living out, but I'm also open to the possibility that that's probably going to go away and I might get something else at another point. Like, this is just my vessel, and it's going to go through a lot of trials and tribulations because it's complicated as fuck, but my soul's intact, and there's no PCOS, TMJ, whatever. That is not going to even, like, your soul's here, your body's here. They can't even intermingle ever. And there's nothing you can do that would make it intermingle. So as long as you just keep like having a visual in your head of like, those are just two separate things. And this thing, the soul, is actually the thing that is real. And this thing is temporary. It just makes it easier.
Yeah. Oh, I so 100% agree with that. I think it's remembering that, right? And I hope regardless of what, again, if this isn't of your belief, then that isn't going to resonate with you. But if it does resonate with you, sometimes it's just remembering that, coming back home to that, being like, oh yeah, I've been kind of like thinking I was this, but I'm actually that, like I am the soul part, but I've been identifying with the physical part, like just remembering that. And, And
also though, it's like normal to identify, like, let's be clear. Like although I totally believe that, the physical is temporary and we don't actually die. There's just this part of us is gone. Like, it doesn't change the fact that like, I'm going to get Botox and I'm going to get my hair colored and like, I want to like that. I mean, I'm still a human form right now.
Yeah.
And you want to respect that too. Like, aside from that, like the insides, your organs, what you put into your body, it's like, it's so fucking important. Like how you respect the vessel, even when it's not working, because like, it's still your opportunity to be here. Like, we don't want to like totally shit on it, but
no,
you are not.
It kind of reminds me, this may not like totally land. I'm just thinking this in real time, but like, it kind of feels like like a car, like your dream car that you have. Like, I mean, it is a vessel of transportation. Like, you would care for your car. You'd make sure it gets maintenance. You might really want a beautiful certain kind of car. You might want your car to look a certain way. You might this or that. Like, taking care of your car is going to be able to get you to other places. But like, are you the car? Like, no, you're the spirit that's in the car. Like you're in the car,
exactly.
right?
No, that's a really good example. Like, it doesn't define you. The car and you are not. The car isn't morphing into your soul. You don't want a car soul. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, these are just all things.
No car souls here.
And that goes to show that even if you're someone that experiences like jealousy, whether you want to admit it or not, but we all fucking do. If you see someone that's further in their career or makes more money than you or has things that you don't have, someone has a child, someone just gave their pregnancy announcement, which I'm sure is killing you because there's 10 million right now going on in the world. Can I just say something real quick with that? I want to hear what you say. That I actually have gotten to a really good place. I view all kids as
I don't want to say as my own, like I'm not like, you know, like out there kidnapping, like, you know, but like I give the energy of like any baby that I see. I'm like, oh, like, yeah, like, so yeah. Anyways, I don't mean to interrupt you, but but I used to not feel that way for sure. I could understand that, but like, no matter what's going on. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, it was that like we all have our moments where, you know, we struggle with this jealousy of anything and everyone. And it's like to that, I would say like your soul and that person's soul are so a lot. They're so similar, and everything else, the bodies are what makes us different. Like it's the bodies, it's the things we have, but they don't have something that you don't have. You guys both have the same thing. We both have souls. It's all the other outside.
And the possibility, like we were talking about before, of the infinite possibilities that could be there. Like I love, that's something that I love. Like I'll follow PCOS accounts and PCOS pregnancy success stories because I'm like, I want to be inundated and reminded of so many women who have this diagnosis that I have that still get pregnant and have beautiful families. And like, I want to see that reminder every day and I want to celebrate those people. And because it's like, there is infinite possibility. Like I am not closing myself off to any possibilities because of any label that was slapped on anything, you know, like
maybe
label was slapped on my car. Like my car can still go.
Right. Exactly. And it's like you with the PCOS, it's like, we know the statistics, like we know how that affects your body, your physical body. But like, again, I'm under the belief that like the soul bond was already created. So it's like your physical body is so fucking irrelevant it's the vessel. It's going to get from one thing to another. But like the way in which it happens or how it happens, or, I mean, like, it's just, it's so not your business. Like it's going to happen.
I so believe that too. Have you ever like looked into, and probably if this isn't like the phase of life that you're in right now or anything, but like spirit baby stuff, have you like ever heard of any of that? Well, there's this book, I think it's Walter McKinnon. I'd have to look. I'll link to it, but it's called Spirit Babies. Oh my gosh. When you get to this part of your life, Kaitlyn, if this is a part of life that you want to experience, Spirit Babies, I so recommended this book because it talks about that. It talks about the soul contract and how even in cases of like adoption or things like that, like you still have a soul contract. It's just the vessel of the biological mother it might not be you. And I so resonate with that. And like, of course, like I'm a spiritual girl. Like I connect with the souls of my children. And like, I know it's just like, it's a divine timing all around. It's a divine timing for me, but it's also divine timing for them. And like, when do they want to enter this world and what they're meant to do? And I don't know. It's so beautiful.
I agree. Like, first of all, I'm sure I'm going to love that book, but like, even though I'm not at a place where I think I'm ready to have children, I also feel like I connect with like my unborn kids all the time. I'm never not, I know that was a contract that was signed between me and whoever it is, however many. And to be honest, like, I don't know if this is going to resonate with you. I'm sure it will, but like, I don't even have a partner right now yet. A lot of the things that I do in my life, I like try to ask myself, like, is this something that like my kids can be proud of? Like, and not even it, like, listen, I have an OnlyFans, so I'm not here saying like, oh, they're going to be proud of that. I mean, like, is this something that my child is going to like, that I'm doing that is going to create like I'm always considering them. And it's so psychotic because like, I don't even know who they are or what they are or how they are or how they're coming. But I just feel like anybody that is wanting a kid one day would, like, I don't think most people think about like the actual thing, like the spirit side of it, where it's like, it's all you guys already did that. Like you met, you already did that. And guess what? If you didn't, that's also very purposeful. And you'll know one day down the road when that time comes, why or if, but like, if your desire is to be a mom, you're going to be a mom. Like there's nothing that's going to prevent that. You've already decided.
Yeah. Oh man, you're giving me like full body goosebumps, like tearing up because like I do so resonate with that. Like, and that was a huge part. the beautiful side of not the like on alert and like playing a game and making it life or death side of Big Brother. That like is the shadow side. But the beautiful side of the Big Brother experience was knowing that, was playing that game and being like, oh man, my kids are going to be so proud of mom one day when they look and they're like, wow, what a badass. Like, look how far you got. Like, look, you won these things. Like, all these odds were against you and you made it so far. Like, I do deeply feel that, which is, you know, kind of beautiful. But
can we play a quick like manifestation moment with you? Like,
yes, I would love that.
Gut, without any fear getting in the way, without any judgment, in your gut, how many kids do you feel like you're having?
Oh, two, which is funny because this is like super woo, but people are here for it. Like 3 spirits come through, but there's like one of them has continually said like, I am not ready and I'm not ready for like a long time. And like, it might not be this lifetime. Like, I'm like, they're like really far back, but like 2 are like ready to go. And then one's like really like, see you way later, you know, kind of thing.
We're going to refer back to this when
right.
Something happens. No, totally. Like, you said it so quickly, like,
it's conversations, communications I have daily. Like, and that's when I think about, like, I'm always talking about like embodying your manifested me, like the version of you who is who you want to be and has the life you want to have. Like, my manifested me is a mom. And so I operate from that place. Like, I am a mom right now. My kids aren't physically here yet.
Yeah.
But like I am, you know, like, and why I get emotional talking about it is because it's like, it not from a place of sadness, but a place of such deep knowing. Yeah. It's like, like I am, you know, and I feel like anybody, you know, we were talking a lot about, you know, kids, because you guys know, if you want to listen to the show, that's the journey I'm on right now. But like, it can really apply to anything when you just know at that deepest level. It does help with the divine timing when I'm not getting caught up in the game of things, which I'm like letting go. Like, it's just like, I could just be, this can just be as it is because I am. And so however that shakes out is how it shakes out. It's what's meant for my highest good and their highest good too. You know, I don't want my children pressured to come in at a time that they're not ready for. No, their soul needs to be ready too. Yeah. Right. So Kaitlyn, I want to ask you kind of one final question to wrap this up. Like, dream with me here. Like, what is your manifested me? What is manifested Kaitlyn right now? What are you dreaming up? Like, what do you hold? We're talking so much about what holds in the future for me. What's the future got in store for you? What do you know?
Think that I have been on this like healing journey for the last 5 years that has been really individual. And I was in a relationship for 5 years that ended when I was on Big Brother because I was emotionally cheating on him with one of my house guests, which is like so great. And because of that, I felt like I wanted to be single for almost the amount of time that I was like in that relationship. So although I've had like flings and like hookups and stuff, nothing's been serious because I've just been trying to prepare this best version of myself, not only for myself, but like for my future person, because they deserve to meet the most authentic part of me. And I deserve to give that and like to be that for someone. And I think I'm finally at a point where I'm accepting and ready to meet someone. So in whichever way that comes, like I'm excited for partnership and what that feels like as an aligned person. And also just
that's gonna be such a different, you know, experience too. Like just that experience is gonna be so beautiful.
I know it's gonna be really different, and like I'm excited for that. And then if we're gonna go deeper, like I want to buy a house on the beach one day. I want to just be like,
what beach? What are we calling in?
I don't know. I think Malibu. I just want to be
I see that
airy and floaty and on the beach and with my crystals and with a family and just happy.
Yeah, just happy. I love that. I love that so much. Well, thank you, Kaitlyn, for everything, all your wisdom. I mean, that's the best way I can describe it. Is just like, it's just wisdom, just knowing. I appreciate you just sharing it with us. So thank you
for having me.
Of course.
Love you.
I love you too.
Yeah, take a step back.
Wasn't that so good? Here's what I love about Kaitlyn. What I love about Kaitlyn is that she just tells it how that is. Like, she doesn't like have any of this. Like, I feel like sometimes, hopefully this isn't me, but I've encountered this with some coaches before where it's like this air of like, I have everything figured out and I am the only one who has the answers to anything. And it's just like, that's such a load of BS. I know I don't try to be that way. You guys would have to call me out if I ever am. And Kaitlyn definitely isn't that way either. And I think that's the best way because it just reminds you that we're all just figuring this stuff out. And what's so beautiful about being a coach like Kaitlyn is, like I am, is that we're able to help other people through this and then share that knowledge with everybody. So I just want to thank you, travelers, for joining us here today on our journey towards destination manifestation. You are awesome. And if you haven't done so already, be sure to subscribe to the podcast so you can catch every new episode that comes out. And there's one other thing that I would really love you to do after listening to today's episode, and it's this. Go to your Apple Podcasts app, pull up the Destination Manifestation Show, scroll down where you can write a review, type up a real honest, quick review there, and take a screenshot of it on your phone. Then I'd like you to send that review to me. You can either DM me, I'm at Britt.Hoopes on Instagram, or you can send me an email, I'm Brittany@BrittanyHoopes.com, and just let me know, hey, this is the review that I posted. And I will send you a Destination Manifestation ball cap for free as a thank you. Isn't that nice? All music for this podcast is by A Cubed. And I'll catch you next time.
Existed.